Devikalottara. O Lord of all celestial beings, I yearn to know that path of supreme wisdom and the code of conduct by adopting which one can get liberation, so that all humanity may attain salvation. I request you to enlighten me on them out of your grace. O Queen among women, so that everyone may attain knowledge, I shall clearly explain to you today the highest knowledge and the discipline to be followed, by which discerning seekers will attain liberation, which is free from any blemish and is difficult to describe. O Lady with fair countenance, understand that one who is not able to realize the truth in their heart by this knowledge of spiritual wisdom, known as Kala Jnana, can never attain it, even by studying countless scrolls of scriptures spread out like the sky. Therefore, cast aside all fears on following this path and shed all doubts. Giving up attachment or desire for anything, be ardent in seeking the ultimate knowledge with wholehearted devotion and with a clear mind, without any trace of confusion. Claiming nothing as mine, filled with compassion, giving protection to all living beings, so that no creature fears you, yearning for liberation, absorbed in yoga. Study this work, Devikalottara, and follow wholeheartedly and steadfastly the single path shown therein. If one is to describe the person who can bring under control their mind, which is restless and turbulent like a whirlwind, and maintain it in a tranquil state, they are verily Brahma, Shiva, and Vishnu. They are Indra, King of the Devas, and Lord Subramanya. They are Brihaspati, the Guru of all Devas. They are a supreme yogi and one who has achieved the result of performing all austerities. They are a great scholar and an outstanding person. They are one who has achieved the true spiritual goal. The means by which this mind, which is restless and moves about quicker than the wind, can be brought under control, is indeed the means to obtain liberation. It indeed is what is good for those who seek the permanent reality. It itself is pure consciousness and the state of firmness. Moreover, it alone is the righteous duty to be followed by discerning aspirants. It alone is the pilgrimage to holy waters. It alone is charity. It alone is austerities. Know that there is no doubt about this. When the mind moves even a little, that is samsara. When the mind abides firmly and motionlessly in the state of self, that is mukti, liberation. This is certain. Therefore, know that the wise person must hold their mind firm by supreme self-awareness. The happiness attained in this aloneness is the highest boundless bliss, which learned persons will not revel in that supreme reality, in which there is absolutely no action. Tell me, being rid of the worldly knowledge, the great hero who has acquired pure wisdom in which there are no sense objects, and which is all-pervading and without any form, will attain immutable moksha without fail, even though they may have no desire to attain liberation. The consciousness associated with the aspect am is called Shakti, The universe shines by its light. The entire creation is Shakti's sankalpa, thought. The state of mind, which is completely devoid of all attachment, is the pure wisdom to be attained. The void, which is the infinite and all-encompassing one, whole without a second, which is just the effulgence of pure wisdom, which is completely devoid of visible phenomena, and which consists of the aspect I, is a seed which fructifies as liberation, bestowing salvation by enabling one to unite with the Supreme. Instead of following this direct path, do not ever contemplate, even in the least, upon chakras, nadis, the deities associated with the lotus seats, the mantras, and the diverse mandala murtis. On the other hand, the path of Kalyana described here is the direct path to mukti. Those who seek everlasting liberation need not endeavour to practice repetition and countless verse mantras and methods of yoga such as breath control, pranayama, breath retention and concentration. There is no room for performing puja, namaskaram, japa, jhana, and so on. Hear from me that the highest truth acclaimed in the Vedas can be known only through jnana. Hence, there is absolutely no need to know anything outside of oneself. For those whose minds are constantly expanding, clinging to external objects, factors will always arise, causing increasing bondage If the outward wandering mind is turned inwards to stay in its natural state, know that one will not undergo any suffering in the world. Unite with that one totality, which is all pervasive, which has no inside or outside, which is bereft of all concepts of directions, such as above, below, and in between, which assumes all the forms in creation, and yet is itself formless, which can be known only by itself, and which is self-luminous. People perform their actions having their own aims in mind, and they accordingly reap the consequences of their actions by attaining those aims. Therefore, do not engage in such actions which are not free from flaws leading to bondage. Turn the attention completely away from external objects and concentrate only upon that, the self, which cannot be seen. In our natural state, actions, cause and result of such actions, and all the various other theories propounded do not exist. In fact, even the diverse world does not exist. As such, even the worldly individual who is attached to the world is also non-existent. This entire universe is nothing but the niralamba, the reality which exists without any support. Further, it shines, being illumined by the niralamba. The yogi, with their mind turned inward, merges with this whole one by making every object in this world one with it. Know this. If any person does not meditate on this great, all-pervading void, which is the space of consciousness, they will be a samsari, a worldly individual, forever in bondage to worldly attachments, like the silkworm in its self-made cocoon. Understand this. All living beings of whatever genus undergo great misery over and over again. Hear from me. In order to avert all this suffering and sorrow, meditate on the great void constantly, without any break. Good actions and good conduct have been prescribed only to guide the seeker towards the path of acquiring knowledge. Therefore, giving up even Salamba Yoga, in which an object is meditated upon in the mind, stay steadfast in your real state, where the outside world is not perceived. One who can destroy all the tattvas, the principles, from the nethermost world to Shakti, which are all interdependent, by the arrow of Sunya Bhava, is a person of great valor. They have attained supreme wisdom, which is beyond matter. The mind, hankering after things of the world, is more restless than a monkey. If one controls it from wandering after external things and holds it in the void of non-matter, one will attain liberation directly. The full consciousness, which is not other than the true import of the word I, being non-different in all the principles, and being other than the sense I am the body, is the all-pervading reality. This complete wholeness pervades inside and outside all creations, like ether, merging with them, and is itself formless. Those who are submerged in this supreme bliss become that supreme bliss themselves. How wonderful! The expanding mind will attain peace, becoming still of its own accord. If it is deprived of something to hold on, just as fire gets extinguished gradually, if not fed with fuel. You must realize that the four states of infatuation, delusion, swoon, and dreaming, and also sleeping and waking, are all to be dispelled. If one meditates that the one consciousness is different from the prana, which has subtly attached itself to this gross body, different from the mind, from the intellect, and from the ego, one will become established in that consciousness. Due to sleep and due to thoughts, the mind always loses its sharpness. Its foolishness increases, and it goes to ruin. Awakening this mind with effort, and without allowing it to wander. Establish it in the state of self. Persevere in this effort by fixing the mind again and again in its natural state. When once the mind becomes steady, it should not be disturbed in any way. There is no need to think, even in the least, of anything else, entertaining any doubts. Fixing the mind firmly in that state of self-awareness. Keep it still. Make the mind, which always clings to some support, devoid of all such supports. Making the mind, which is restless in clinging to external supports, motionless. Do not disturb that tranquility even a little. Meditate on the peerless self, which pervades all the various forms, yet remains without any blemish, being unaffected by them. Just as ether, pervading all the creations made up of the 5 elements, remains unsullied at the time of their dissolution. When one adopts the practice by means of which one's mind, which is restless like the wind, is made still perpetually, then the purpose of taking birth as a human being is fulfilled. That is also the mark of a true scholar. Do not practice meditation by fixing the mind on the 6 chakras. Giving up all such meditations Make the mind always devoid of any support, either inside or outside. If the mind falls asleep, awaken it. Then, if it starts wandering, make it quiet. If you reach the state where there is neither sleep nor movement of mind, stay still in that, the natural, the real state. The state in which the mind is bereft of any support to cling to, ever faultless and pure, and devoid of worldly attachments, is the nature of liberation attained through knowledge. Keep this firmly in mind. Dispelling all attachments completely and fixing that mind in the heart firmly. Persist in your practice always in order to strengthen the awareness, which then shines forth with great effulgence and clarity. Know that whoever meditates on that supreme void and becomes established in it by virtue of constant practice will definitely attain the great state which is beyond birth and death. Gods and goddesses, merits, demerits, and their fruits, objects of attachment, and the knowledge of those objects. All these will lead one to bondage in mighty samsara. All objects of attachments are said to be pairs of opposites. When one rises above those pairs of opposites, one realizes the Supreme. Such a yogi is a jivan mukta, liberated from bondage. On discarding the body, they become a Abhadeya mukta. A wise person should not give up the body out of aversion to it. Know that when once this karma, which was responsible for the creation of the body, ceases, the bodily burden will automatically fall off. The consciousness which shines as I in the heart lotus is pure and perfectly steady. By destroying the ego, which rises from that consciousness itself bestows the supreme joy of liberation. Be sure about it. With great devotion, meditating constantly that I am that Shiva, the form of the one consciousness that is always unsullied by any adjunct. Dispel all your attachments. Giving up all notions about country, caste, blemishless community, and associated matters. Hold on to and practice always meditation upon the self, your own natural state. I alone am. No one belongs to me, nor do I belong to anyone else. I can see no one who can call me theirs. Neither can I see anyone who is mine. I am all alone. Know that the person who experiences the firm conviction, I am the Supreme Brahman, I am the Master and Lord of the universe, is the real mukta, the one who has attained liberation, and that the one following conflicting paths is in bondage. The day one is able to see oneself with their inner eye as not the body, all their desires vanish and they experience perfect peace. That which is described in the scriptures as the unborn and Lord, I am that, the Self, who is forever without form or qualities. There is absolutely no doubt about it. I am pure awareness, immaculate, perfectly liberated, and forever present everywhere. I am indeterminable. No one can grasp me or leave me. I am free from sorrow. I am always of the nature of Brahman. I am the Self, which is consciousness, absolute completeness, deathless and self-established, and which is other than this insentient body, limited between the top of the head and the sole of the foot. And which, beginning with the inner instruments, such as mind and intellect, is bounded by the covering of the skin. thinking, I am the Lord of all creations, moving or stationary. I remain as Father, Mother, and Father's Father for the universe. Aspirants for mukti contemplate with concentration and ardour only upon me, who am that great Turiya state. I am the one who is worshipped through sacrifices and penances by all celestial beings, beginning with Brahma, the heavenly damsels who are themselves sought after, humans, yakshas, Gandharvas, Nagas, and other groups of superhuman beings, and also by many others. Know that everyone worships only me. By many kinds of rare austerities and charities, everyone worships only me. Know that this vast creation, moving and stationary, and all objects, are nothing but me, the Infinite One. I am not the gross body, nor am I the subtle body. I am also not the causal body. I am the kinsman of the universe. I am the one who is of the nature of transcendental knowledge. I am, moreover, the Eternal One, the Lord, the taintless One, the One who is devoid of the states of waking, dream, and sleep, the One who is devoid of the universe. The beginningless consciousness is unborn, whole, and residing forever in its natural home of the heart cave, is without form, world, or impurity. It is beyond comparison and completely unattached. It cannot be comprehended by the mind, nor can it be seen or felt by the senses. Repeatedly see thus: I am that, the eternal, omnipresent reality, which is Brahman. Meditating thus for a long time, whoever abides imperturbably will become the Supreme Brahman, thereby attaining immortality.